Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here, and now I have some absolutely bonkers news for you all. Blizzard just revealed that in June there's going to be a major patch to Hearthstone that brings a mid-expansion free legendary card for all the players who log into the game, as well as buffs, 18 cards. Yes, that's right, we're going to get card buffs for the first time in the history of Hearthstone. This is incredible stuff. And the new legendary, it's right here. Snip-Snap. 3 mana 2/3 mech, magnetic, echo, death rattle, summon 2 1/1 microbots. So this is quite a bit better than Harvest Golem. It's better than replicating menace. It's a very, very powerful mech. It's going to see a lot of play. You can play this in Zoo, you can play this in Token Druid. You can play this in some forms of mech hunter, mech paladin. This is just a brilliant card. And if you log into the game between the 3rd of June and the 1st of July, you're going to get a golden copy for free. So that's a really big deal. And that's not all. There's also going to be 18 cards, all of them from Boomsday Project, it's kind of the theme here, that are going to get buffed. And this is also going to change the meta a lot, so we're going to get a new meta tomorrow, we're going to play in that meta for 2 weeks, then we're going to get yet another new meta, and then we're going to play in that one. So Hearthstone, it's alive, it's kicking. This is amazing. Some of the buffs are actually, they're so good that they're scary. I'm a little bit scared. I think they should not have maybe went that far, making cards good. But let's take a look at all of the buffs. First up, we have Gloop Sprayer. It was an 8 mana 4/4 battlecry, summon a copy of each adjacent minion, and it's going to be discounted to 7 mana. And I think this is a pretty meaningful change, because Gloop Sprayer had seen some play in Lucent Park Druid lists, but I didn't like those lists, because the way I built my Lucent Park Druid, the Heal Druid, was that I used Zuzip Psychmelon as one of the cards that 100% tutored for Lucent Park. And if there is a Gloop Sprayer in the deck, then it's no longer a 100% tutor. But now, with the Sprayer costing 7 mana instead of 8, Choose Psychmelon can again tutor Lucent Park every time while having this powerful copy effect in your deck. So I think this is a pretty significant buff to Heal Druid. Granted, Heal Druid is not currently a top tier archetype. And it's unlikely that this change would make it a top tier archetype, but any improvements, I'm all for it. Another Druid card that's going to be changed is the Mulch Muncher from 10 mana to 9 mana. I don't think this change is very significant. I don't expect Mulch Muncher to see any more play than it already has. Because I think the mech path is the superior path to building Token Druids. The Treant path doesn't seem powerful enough anyway. Mulch Muncher costing less doesn't change that. But then there's this one, Necromechanic. Your death rattles trigger twice, 5 mana 3/6, soon to be 4 mana 3/6. So this will be on par with Houndmaster Shaw on stats and cost. This will be playable like you can play Mechanical Whelp on 6 into Necromechanic 9 lives on 7. Necromechanic was a card that some people already liked having in mech hunter builds. I personally didn't. I always thought that it was too expensive, it didn't quite do enough to justify the cost. But now, with it being 1 mana cheaper, I'm still not completely sure how useful this will be, or whether this will be more of a win-more card. But now, it definitely has the cost, stats and effect that are in line in a way that means that it could be a pretty good card. The other hunter card that's going to be changed is Flax Boomsuka from 8 mana to 7 mana. However, the effect to summon 3 minions from your deck, which will then attack enemy minions and then die, has not been useful so far. So can you build a deck that really has that many death rattles and stuff that it's useful to get those minions out of your deck and have them die? I don't think that's possible, so I don't expect Boomsuka to become any better with this change. Then there's a Mage change, Unexpected Results. From 4 mana to 3 mana. Unexpected result 3 mana, summon 2 random 2-cost minions improved by spell damage. Mage has the Giants and they have the Conjurer's Calling, so it faces some pretty harsh competition. But 3 mana for this effect is potentially playable, so we might see this in some kind of spell mage decks. It turned from a useless card into a potentially useful card. Luna's Pocket Galaxy is getting a large discount from 7 mana down to 5. That's obviously an interesting effect. Some big spell mage lists have experimented with Luna's Pocket Galaxy at times, but it hasn't quite delivered enough. Now that it's playable much earlier in the game, maybe there is some way that this can be made to work, but I just don't completely see it yet. And these Paladin changes are bonkers. Crystology, already one of the best Paladin cards. It's a great card. 2 mana, draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck. Now, 1 mana, draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck. So now you can play Crystology on 1. And you can draw your Galvanizer that you can then play on 2. This is insane. This is this is making a good card into an insanely good card. While this one may pale in comparison, it's no slouch either. Glowstone Technician, I never liked this card. 6 mana, 3/4 for that hand buff battle cry. Always felt too expensive to me. I know some people used it regardless, but it was one of the weaker cards in the deck. But now it's going to cost just 5 mana. And while hand buff mechanic has largely failed, we know from Dragon Speaker that once you tweak the numbers enough, make the buff card cheap enough and make the buff big enough, it can have a major impact. And Glowstone Technician has never looked better. Priest buff, extra arms from 3 mana to 2 mana. So now you can slam 2 copies of extra arms for 4 mana, so you have 4 mana +4/+4. You actually just gave Priest Blessing of Kings. And that might be a really big deal. Extra Arms was one of the cards that I ended up cutting from Silence Priest, one of the last cards that didn't make the cut. It just wasn't quite good enough, it was a little bit clunky to play. But at 2 mana, it's much easier to play. Silence Priests, Combo Priests. It's now a great card. Whether it finds the right archetype is the question. The other priest buff is Cloning Device from 2 mana to 1 mana. This is probably one of the less influential changes, because discovering a copy of a minion in your opponent's deck is usually not that awesome, even if it costs only 1 mana. Costing 1 mana is great, of course, if you have like a miracle type of priest deck, so you just cycle through your deck very rapidly, but discovering a minion to your hand when you just want to play these 0 and 1 cost spells, then that kind of goes against the purpose. Rogue buffs, yay. After rogue nerfs we're going to get rogue buffs. Pogo Hopper, from 2 mana to 1 mana. So what this does is it means that Pogo Hopper is going to be much easier to bounce. Obviously, already if you Shadow Stepped it, it became 0 mana, but if you Brewmaster it, or use other means to bounce it or make copies of it, you can just fill your board with Pogo Hoppers more effectively, you can build up your Pogo Hopper stats more effectively. Is it still going to make for a good deck? I don't know, but it did become a little bit faster. And then we have Violet Haze, add 2 random Death Rattle cards to your hand from 3 mana to 2 mana. 2 random Death Rattle cards just are usually pretty bad, so I don't expect this card to get any better, even if it's cheaper. Shaman, getting buffs. Not nerfed to Hex. There's absolutely no Hex nerfs in this patch, just buffs. No Hex buffs either. But anyway, the Stormbringer, from 7 mana to 6 mana, transform your minions into random legendary minions. It probably doesn't change the whole world. I mean, if you want to play a token type of deck and you want to have Stormbringer in it, you're going to have in it whether it costs 7 or whether it costs 6, but that just might buff up the performance of the deck just a little bit, with the Stormbringer coming out a little bit earlier, or you being able to weave in more stuff together with it. So definitely an interesting buff. And this is one of the most bonkers buffs. Alongside Crystology, this is insane. Thunderhead, from a 4 mana 3/5 to a 4 mana 3/6. Thunderhead was already one of the best cards that Shaman has. It's the definitive card of many of the decks that it's played in. As 3/5, it's already dodging a lot of removal, it's able to survive, and now it's being made even more durable as a 3/6, so this change is just amazing. Token Shamans, some kind of control Shamans that use Thunderhead as the early game board control tool. There's so many Shaman archetypes that can benefit from this, and the card was already awesome, and now it's just insane. Warlock, however, is getting the shortest straw. Spirit Bomb. Deal 4 damage to a minion and your hero, 2 mana. Down to 1 mana. But Warlock still cannot afford to take the damage. It still doesn't want to deal 4 damage to a minion and never go face in a deck that could afford to take the 4 damage, so this card is still going to be bad. And the same can probably also be said of Dr. Morrigan. Death Rattle, swap this with a minion from your deck. Well, it's at least getting better, because as an 8 mana 5/5 it had absolutely disastrous stats, and it had a mana cost that meant that you can't even cheat anything out with it. As a 6 mana 5/5 it has mediocre stats, a little bit below average, and it has a mana cost that means that okay, if you play this and you play some kind of big Warlock, then it dies, it gets swapped, you get some kind of big minion from the deck, you get it out a couple of turns early. Alright, that's fine and everything, but your opponent already has 4 Mountain Giants on the board, so what are you going to do about those? So this is not going to make Dr. Morrigan playable. There are also buffs for Warrior. Security Rover, from 6 mana 2/5 to a 6 mana 2/6. And that's 6. It's so difficult to deal at 6 damage in one hit, which means that Security Rover just became much more likely to be able to generate multiple taunt minions. You're still not going to put this card into your deck, but you're going to be happier when you get it from your Dr. Boom. Another buff, Beryllium Nullifier, from 7 mana 3/8 to a 7 mana 4/8. A little bit more threatening. You still probably don't put this in your deck. Maybe you can build some kind of more aggressive mech deck and can't be targeted is pretty decent. Now it has more attack, so it can actually deal more damage. But probably still not. But you're also a little bit happier when you get this from your Dr. Boom. So that's quite a set of changes. New legendary card, which is a good legendary card. 18 card buffs. The most notable buffs are going to come to Mech Hunters, to Mech Paladins, and to Token Shamans. These archetypes are going to get some really major new stuff. And also, Dr. Boom, Mad Genius, it's getting even better when the quality of the mech pool improves. There are also some buffs that affect stuff like Control Shaman, stuff like Heal Druid. But whether those buffs have a big effect on the meta is another matter. But these 3 archetypes, Mech Hunter, Mech Paladin, Token Shaman, they're looking like they're getting some really good stuff here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.